Tonko House is an animation studio that caused a sensation as it was established by the two people who were formerly the leading figures at Pixar Animation Studios. We will meet with artists Robert Kondo and Daisuke Tsutsumi in our studio as they are holding their first Tonko House exhibition in Korea from May 3rd. What is the main focus of the exhibition?
About getting people to be inspired throughout telling our story, then to really, for that curiosity to have a place to be expressed.
The two members were both the artists and art directors in the beloved Pixar works. Now they are challenging themselves by growing Tonko House as a multimedia company.
It takes time, but finally we feel like we're getting to a point where we do have the opportunity to test what we've been learning as storytellers.
On today's Heart to Heart, Tonko House artists Robert Kondo and Daisuke Tsutsumi present their world of animation that sparks curiosity and imaginations. People say animation is imagination. The world of reality has its limits. The world of imagination is magical. It's boundless. I am pleased to welcome two guests today, two magicians in their own right, whose boundless imagination enchants both the young and the old alike. Hello and welcome to Heart to Heart. Would you like to say hello to our viewers? Give a brief introduction.
Thank you for having us. My name is Tsutsumi. I'm one of the co-founders of this animation studio in America called Tonko House.
And I'm Robert Kondo, also one of the co-founders of Tonko House in Berkeley, California.
Well, welcome once again. Thank you so much for joining
you.
us here. Now, I believe that this is your first visit to Korea. So what brings you to Seoul?
We were invited to have an exhibition here in Seoul, so we're kind of sharing the journey of our studio and sharing some education projects, as well as our children's book is being released today, so
Wow.
I'm really excited to be able to share.
Okay, so what kinds of works are featured in the exhibition, and could you also tell us about the concept in a bit more detail?
Well, one of the first projects that we've done is called The Dam Keeper. It's a short film, animated short film that Robert and I directed while we were still working at Pixar before we started Tonko House. And since then, with Tonko House, we did a lot of other projects, and a lot of the artwork created for those projects were featured in the exhibition.
Yeah, part of the exhibition is to share all these projects that we've been working on, but also share some of the future projects, give a bit of a sneak peek into what's coming from our studio. And the exhibition is designed on 2 floors, and it culminates into our kids' education program. That's an art education program. And something that's really different about our exhibition is, you know, typically when you go to an exhibition, you're not allowed to touch and interact with all of it. But you arrive at this place in the exhibition where actually kids and families are invited to actually participate and draw on the walls. The whole idea is to use art as a platform for telling stories and collaborating.
Okay, sounds like a lot of fun. So it's not only about just watching and not touching,
Right.
or having to stay way away, away from the artwork or the projects.
Right.
Would you say that that is the main focus of this exhibition? What is the main focus of the exhibition?
Overall, one of our big missions, both in the stories that we tell and a lot of the efforts that we've put into, whether it's children's books or exhibitions, is really this idea of finding a way to inspire curiosity. So this whole exhibition, in a way, is about getting people to be inspired throughout telling our story, but then to really, for that curiosity to have a place to be expressed in a way within the exhibition.
Now, you briefly mentioned The Dam Keeper. The Dam Keeper, it was nominated for an Academy Award for Best Animated Short Films in 2015, and it's going to be screened as part of the exhibition. So please do tell us about The Dam Keeper.
Well, The Dam Keeper is a story of a young boy, Pig, who is protecting his town every day doing his job so that the town is safe from this looming darkness that's right outside of the town, but nobody notices his heroic act. So the story is really about this unsung hero who's also dealing with this darkness, not only outside of this wall, but also internally, that he's dealing with his own darkness and having his own dam to fight the darkness.
And after the Dam Keeper, you came up with the Pig, the Dam Keeper poems, which last year, right? So could you tell us about the series? Now, the Dam Keeper is a short film.
Yes.
But Pig, the Dam Keeper poems is was it a 10-episode series?
Series,
yes.
yeah.
So please do tell us about this series as well as how the two actually differ.
Dam Keeper Poems, the series, is directed by Eric Oh, who was our animation director on the short. So we collaborated on a short too, but then Eric took a new challenge to be the director, who we tremendously trusted. But we had this kind of step back and kind of help him from outside, but then let Eric bring in his own sensitivity and the world to the story of the Dam Keeper Poems.
It is, if you think of the short film almost like a short story,
Yeah.
the Dam Keeper Poems really is like a little book of poems. They're a little more, I would say, poetic and visual in that way. That's very different than the short.
Now, characterization is essential in any kind of storytelling, whether it be traditional, film or animation. It's a well thought out process and a very complicated process. So I'd like to ask you if you could tell us about your, character creation and development. Tell us all about it. What happens in the process?
Well, a lot of our stories actually come from what we call Tonko House therapy. And it's actually not that different than this. We sit in a room and we start to talk about things that we face as people, issues that we have. A lot of times it tends to be something that we might not have shared with a lot of people, probably deeply personal. All of our stories sort of come out of this process. And I think through that we find a way to tell stories that are really about people, but using these kind of fantastic worlds and fantastic characters. And when we do that, we start to model these characters oftentimes off of different aspects of ourselves. So for the Dam Keeper, for instance, we really identify a lot actually with Pig. And I think Fox is sort of this character that we aspire to be. And there's this kind of hippo and alligator character who are kind of bullies. And I think even they represent a part of ourselves that we don't like to admit, but in our worst actually have elements of that. So oftentimes characters are some aspect of a personal story we want to tell or share.
Okay. What about Fox? Is it that you would like to be a little like Robert?
Yeah, Fox is a really sweet character. I mean, she kind of comes into the world and immediately through art is connecting with Pig, this kind of character no one else seems to notice.
What's great about Fox, what I admire about Fox, the character Fox, is that she doesn't judge people. So she doesn't judge Pig the way others judge Pig. And I think that's an incredible, admirable character.
Yes. I'd like to be like Fox too. Now, Tonko House goes around the world for screenings as well as exhibitions. Are there specific criteria when it comes to selecting the destinations?
It all starts with a level of curiosity and wonder for us. In particular, being here for the exhibition in Korea, Eric Oh was our supervising animator and also director at Tonko House. And, so much of him and his stories emanate from who he is and his cultural background. So we've always had a deep curiosity. And I think that's really what guides us, is that level of curiosity in things we don't necessarily understand, but we have an excitement for. So there's not necessarily a criteria other than really having an active interest.
Okay. Does planning or, I guess content selection differ in any way depending on where you actually go to exhibit or hold these screenings? How different is it?
Yeah, absolutely. So to give you an example, here in Seoul, we collaborated with with a group called Kiafa, and we're connected through Kiafa with 3 of our favorite Korean animation artists.
I see.
And they did little pieces for our exhibition. So for us, artistically, we're so excited about making that connection and bonding through work such as the exhibition. You know, also there's an element of, you know, for the Korea exhibition, we collaborated with 2 local universities to develop an AR app that you can use inside of the exhibition.
Oh, wow.
And that's really something that's new for us and was really exciting for us to be able to do. But it's uniquely because of, again, the interest that actually comes from people that we meet and the network and the community that's here to participate and take an interest in Tonko House's story and sharing that.
Oh, wow. It absolutely sounds like a lot of fun. So we are going to take a look at Tonko House's first exhibition in Seoul, and we'll be right back to continue our talk. Tonko House is holding its first exhibition in Korea. The exhibition captivated the Korean audience with the 140 pieces, including sketches and video material, in addition to some unreleased works. Now I'd like to ask you about how you two partnered up. So you, of course, worked at Pixar, and today you are here as co-founders of Tonko House. So yeah, tell us about how Tonko House was born and you know, how you made that decision.
The Dam Keeper, the short film, was actually made while we were at Pixar. It was almost like an extracurricular project. In the middle of a really tough time or a really intense time on Monsters University, in the middle of that, Dice came to me and said, hey, what do you think after we finish this project, we take 3 months off and go make a short film? And I thought, oh my gosh, you're crazy. We're so busy right now. I can't see the end of the tunnel right now. And his idea was, let's go make this project so we can become better art directors. We can get a broader view of filmmaking. So we went off to make that, and you know, similar to this kind of idea of excitement and terror, that was like every day on the project. You know, you always thought, oh my gosh, we're gonna make this, and by the end of the day, you're like, I can't believe all those things broke in one day, and that was every day. The level of excitement and that level of terror, kind of, you know, you gotta cross that threshold. It's inherent to risk and growth, and we just got sort of used to that feeling. So when we finished the project and we were back at Pixar, you know, it's not like that place had changed. It's the same place it always was. It's an amazing studio, but I think we had changed. I think we had grown up a little bit, and we realized that now's the time. And we really want to tell our own stories and use, you know, all of our experience and skills that we had learned at Pixar to really share our own stories to try to affect kind of the world around us in a way that is true to who we are.
While I was working on Toy Story 3 or Monsters University, we were very close. We collaborated on art direction of the projects very closely. And I knew if there's anybody who could challenge me, that would be Robert.
Nice.
Like, I didn't need somebody who would just follow me or who would just do what I tell them to do. Like, I needed somebody to challenge me, and that was Robert Kondo.
Someone who won't listen to you and sometimes.
Exactly.
Right.
In other words, yes.
But that challenge was very exciting to me, and he's not the kind of person who would just say yes very easily. Like, yes, let's go. Like, he actually is a very careful person. So for me, it's a test that if I could excite him, if I could convince him that it's worth doing, then I should be doing it no matter what. So that was one of the hurdles that I needed to jump over to start this project, and it was his approval.
Okay. For those of our viewers that are curious to see how the two of you work together, we have prepared something, so here's a look at it for now. So we see that, well, not only Robert and Dice, we see others. Of course, you work with a huge team. So how many members are we talking about?
You know, we have a studio in Berkeley, California, and there's about, I think, about 18 people there. And then we have several people as part of our studio in Japan, Tonko House Japan in Kanazawa, and there's about 4 people in that studio.
How is the work divided?
It really depends, but usually we have a group of creatives and we have a group of production, like producers or the production managers. And then, of course, the people who manage our company business. And in that, of course, we have different types of specific skill sets. But we always believe in the balance of production of who manage the project and then creatives like artists who manage creative aspect of the project. And if the balance is broken, it's really hard to move the project forward. So we often try to balance that ratio.
What is Tonko House working on at the moment, currently? Any insider teasers for us?
Well, we've been putting a lot of effort into this exhibition here in Seoul, but also at the same time, Dice has been also working on a film festival in Japan that's going on right now, actually, in Shinjuku, Tokyo. This
is our first time running a film festival. We always wanted to share not only our films, but also the films that inspired us. With our audience, and in a way, kind of, hopefully that leads to building a community that we share common goals or common interest. And one of the films is actually from Korea, and it's this film called The Man on a Chair by Da Hee-jun. It's an amazing film that won a lot of awards in the festivals back in 2014, but we were very fortunate enough to screen her film as a part of Tonko's Film Festival.
Oh, wow.
But the projects we're working on range from a stop-motion series as well as a 2D animation series and a feature film.
Sounds exciting as well. I am so excited for you guys. Okay, let's shift our focus and maybe dive deeper into story development. Now, I heard that working on the details, the tiny details, the smallest details of the script can take up to as much as 75% of the entire production process. What are your thoughts on the importance of storytelling?
A lot of time is spent trying to be clear about the story. And sometimes, a story can be about kind of friendship, but also betrayal, all in kind of the same moment. So a lot of times in the process, seeming details that seem to kind of, maybe to the naked eye, not be that important, tend to take a lot of time to construct, because anything in an animated film is kind of made out of nothing. When we work on films, we try to just make sure there's a clarity to all the details and that they're all sort of helping to tell the story in a way. So that's why a lot of times I think people talk about the details really taking up so much time of the production. Yeah.
It's not the linear kind of build-up. It's like you build up something and you have to blow up to be able to see what was really inside the important thing that you wanted to share in the story. And then you have to build up so that audience can identify with your story, but then you get lost again and you blow up and you build up, and so that continued struggle and a cycle usually is why it takes so long.
Right. I mean, creating this compelling story that not only children but even adults can kind of bond with or relate to or identify with, it just I imagine it's a very daunting task, very, very difficult. So there's character creation to story development. So what goes through your mind during the entire process, though?
It is really easy to lose sight of what the goals are because when you're making a film, you get pulled into so many different questions. You have an animator who's working on how a hand animates, and you're looking at little details, and then you're pulled into another meeting to listen to music, and it's so easy to get caught up in all of these little moments and little things and lose sight of the bigger picture. One of the things that we rely on is actually to help each other navigate that and stay focused on kind of the purpose and what we're trying to convey. A lot of what we make is actually first and foremost for ourselves. We both are fathers and we want to make things for families and children to be able to enjoy, but we also want to create stories that we're excited to watch. So in a way, that part of it is not too complicated. It's always constantly asking ourselves, is this something we'd want to watch?
Right. Now, Robert and Dice, you two are also directors, and as we know, any director, they give orders, instructions to the crew, so that his or her vision actually comes alive or can come alive. What is it for you? Is it different for the animation world? How does it work?
Because there's two of us, there is an element for us to be able to have comfort in kind of helping each other to understand what's the best way to lead a team. There's so many different ways to lead a team. We've worked with people who are very, give me lots of options and let me see and I'll pick. And we really hope, and I can't say that we always, but we always try to be directors who have a vision and have an idea, but also have enough of an openness to collaboration to allow people to also come in and bring their own vision to the film. Because animation film takes hundreds of people sometimes, especially feature films. So I think the best job that we can do is often when the film is all done that people can say, oh, this is my film. And it's not just Dice and I who feel like, this is our film.
The more we learn about directing, the more we realize it's actually not about us having all the answers. In a way, to articulate like what kind of help we need from our people working with, and I think that as the team gets bigger and bigger, your ability as a director becomes so much about the big ideas and big vision, and less about the details.
I see.
Which is a hard thing to do as both of us being artists ourselves, and we want to just get in there and do it ourselves. And but yeah, it's a fun and challenging task because it's not that different from running a studio, I feel like.
Now, Tonko House will be celebrating its 5th year anniversary, yes. Can we hope to see maybe a feature film, or are you hoping to work on any longer projects anytime soon?
A couple of series, 2 series that we're really excited about that we think, will hopefully by the end of the year get going. I don't know if this year we'll be, releasing anything right away, but we'll definitely, for us, what's exciting is to really get in and start to build the foundation of these projects. So those projects we're really excited about. And one of those films actually is the first time that Dice will actually direct potentially on his own, separate from each other.
I see.
We always have been working towards creating longer format stories, whether it's a feature or the series, because that becomes more complex and deeper. And in a way, it really tests our ability as storytellers. And finally, it takes time, but finally we feel like we're getting to a point where we do have the opportunity to test what we've been learning as storytellers. So, you can come to our Tonko House exhibition in Seoul to see what we've been working on the 2nd floor.
Anyone that's interested, would like to find out more information, just look up Tonko House Exhibition in Seoul 2019. The exhibition is due to run until August,
yes.
I believe. So you've got a lot of time, but hurry.
Yes.
The sooner the better. Okay, thank you so much for joining us and congratulations on your first exhibition here in Seoul. Hope you do return sometime very soon and best of luck to Tonko House with your future projects. 감사합니다.
Thank you. 감사합니다.
Thank you.